Hello, this is an assessment for restoration of a Bechstein Model 4 upright piano that's 120 centimeters tall, made in 1899. The main work, as we'll see in a minute, is replacing the rest plank. We just want to look at the piano in general, and we can see there's definitely a need to tidy up the case if the client would like that done. So we can tidy up the front, obviously tidy up those. We can replace the veneer on that, or just tidy it up. Looking at the name here, it's obvious. It looks like it's been polished over there quite a bit, and there's a colour there. Can be repolished, the whole piano, obviously. Certainly something, once you've replaced the rest plank, it's certainly something you might like to think of doing. The piano's rosewood. Not sure if this wood is rosewood. Maybe it is. It's just sort of painted over, as we mentioned before, rosewood gets. This is clearly rosewood, such a beautiful grain. Let's have a look at the rest of the case. Now this side of the piano is reasonably good, just a mark there. So just wear and tear over the years. Another one there. We regularly do obviously French polish them, but it takes about 60 hours on an upright, so it does add an awful lot to the price of the restoration. Looking while it's with us, it's worth thinking about, obviously. So let's look at the fall. There's the fall. It's not quite so bad, really. Again, there seems to be a combination of painted over grain and also real grain. Not quite sure where they did that. I've mentioned that several times and would love some answers if you happen to know why that was done, because it's such a beautiful wood, rosewood, and just the natural colour looks so nice. The action, the Model 4 is an overstrung piano. Model 5 is also. These are two of the commonest Bechsteins, Model 4 and 5, made in around the turn of just as the 18th-19th century turn, and as I say, very common in the UK. There's a serial number there. That's how we date the piano. Looking at the action, it's in reasonable condition. There's a little bit of sideways play possibly in some of these, so that's something we'd look at. It's really important. And tapes, well, there's lots of them missing. If we take the action off, then it's really difficult to. The tape basically links top and bottom, and is, apart from helping it hammer to return, it's much harder to take the action out when the tapes are broken. If you're a technician, you'll know what I mean. So replacing those, it seems a sensible idea. One or two have been replaced here, but replacing the whole lot is obviously sensible to do. And we can lubricate then the jacks and the weapons generally, so that will help. The felts here are quite tight. Bechstein felts are excellent, so they stayed quite tight. And well, there's lots of play in the keys, so the felt there obviously we can take the cricket bats. Sorry, I'm going a bit fast if you're not in the tray, but you know what a cricket bat is if you are. It's an adjustment. So going right, I'm now onto the strings. Basically, the main problem here is loose tuning pins, and we'll listen to some of the notes being played. So that one there, I've tested the tuning pin. I think it's this, that last string there. Tried tightening it. You could possibly set it a bit deeper, and it might hold a little bit, but the very important thing, and we've made many videos of having to replace rest planks on these, even if you put larger pins in, longer pins in, we still had fully restored pianos come to us, fully restored elsewhere, where the rest plank hasn't been done, and we'd have to replace the rest plank for the client. This is particularly a problem for Bechstein's models, uprights modelled 1 to 5, made before 1902. That was the changeover point. So then they went to model 6 to 10, and the rest planks don't seem to be such a problem. But fortunately, the top was loose on this piano, and we can now look at the rest plank. There seems to be a little bit of laminate there, and then nothing here at all. No laminates, and it's replaced by either multi-laminate, what's called Legnit multi-laminate, or rock wool, which is another, sorry, not rock wool, Baldock, rock maple, sorry about that, and that they are much better rest planks. So this is commonly done. The top is obviously taken off when it's done anyway, so that's not a problem. It's loose, and you'll be able to see, if you look at the back of the piano, by the way, if you want to know if the rest plank's been replaced, you'll see it definitely shows some differences here. So when this piano comes back in, you'll see that this is the original back, but because the rest plank's coming out, you'll see it looking very different on the back. I meant to mention that the hammers are quite worn. They could do with refacing, certainly. There's enough felt on there not to have to replace them, and Bechstein hammers do reface well. They're quite tight here, so they're not gone too soppy, but but the tone would be brighter. Basically, it's refaced. You might like the tone as it is and not being so bright, and the new strings will make it sound slightly brighter anyway. So here's a summary of the work, and well, tuning pins are loose, so the pitch is currently 438, slightly flat, but lots of tuning pins don't stay in tune. Refacing the hammers possibly. The strings are good, but would restring them if you're taking all the tuning pins out, obviously restring at the same time, and recondition the soundboard too. That's not something I featured here because the tone sounds full around here, and that's an indicator of whether the soundboard needs a lot of work or not. And it sounds very out of tune, but from my experience of listening to these, it's very sweet sounding, and once it's got new strings and in tune, it will sound very sweet. The break point here, which is there, that's one side, that's the other side. Apart from being out of tune, there is a contrast between them, and you won't improve that much with restringing. It makes slightly better. Going back to the casework could be tidied up or repolished. Repolishing does take 60 hours, so you can imagine that costs a lot of money, unfortunately. Something else I picked up is that legroom, that's your legs fitting under here, is only 59, and the pedal height is very high, 8 centimeters. So that's something to bear in mind. We often say you can take the casters off and put gliders on if the pedals are high, but if you did that, you'd have hardly any legroom. Depends how tall you are, but have to. We could possibly reduce the height here by putting some felt above the pedals so to bring them down, but it won't be that significant. 8 centimeters is very high, so maybe just a bit down. So we might manage 7.6 or 7.8. Really, under 7 is ideal, and some interesting Bechstein grands are often only 5 centimeters, which is ideal, and the legroom is 60 to 61. You may think I go on about that too much, but it's very significant if you can't come and try a piano, for instance, and you want to buy one. Legroom is really important if you're very tall, obviously. And the pedal height, because it's uncomfortable if they're too high, I find. So if you've got in the trade, like to comment, that would be very helpful. So I checked it for moth and woodworm. I didn't say okay there, but it is. And so main work here: replace the rest plank, replace tapes, lubricate. I didn't pick that one up there, but if you lift the keys up, they don't go down. And they are varied in terms of weight. 60 at the base here, 58 there, 53. So they'll even up a bit when it's lubricated. We can obviously reweight the keys if you want us to have a piano that's really ideal for studying on. And improve or replace key tops. Well, if this was ours, we would very seriously think about replacing them, just because we want them, if we repolished it, we want it to look perfect. These won't look perfect even if we try and tidy them up. We certainly clean them and buff them. This one we might replace, but that's sorry if I'm going on too long about that, but trying to do everything that's important. Lubricating, then lubricating the balance rail, and when we take the tapes off, we can lubricate the whippers and the jacks too. I hope I've covered everything there. I'm not going to sit down and play this piano, but I'll just go right through it to get some idea of tone. So down there it's very pleasant. It'll be even more pleasant when it's worked on. So you can see why I'm not going to sit down and play it. But very beautiful tone round here. Well, sorry. And it will sing beautifully, and that's what's nice about the Model 4s and 5s. So they do need new wrest planks very often. I hope that's been helpful, and thank you very much for listening.